Okay, so I want to share with you a little project we're working on. The owner actually started a lot of the tedious process, so he saved himself quite a bit of time and money because he had skills in the realms he covered. Let's get a little backstory here. You're carpenters, and I know because I was for far too long a carpenter. They're almost like your hot rodders. Their tool rack, their tool rig, their van, their truck, whatever. It's almost an extension of their being, professionalism, and personality. So there may be a few of you folks out there that get this. There's going to be more of you blokes out there that are like, why the fuck is he doing this to a van? What's the point? Well, because he can. So let's check this. This was just your average box van, utility van, I don't know what they call them, E350, Super Duty. He's got doors off of a previous one. That's these. We actually fitted some wings to them to widen the exterior profile of the door to make it match the measurements of the van aesthetically, okay? It's as much about form as it is function. The owner went ahead, he cut the frames apart, got them spaced in here where he wanted them. And that's what I got to start with right there. I got some measurements. That's the top of the drip rail. It'll have a continuous weld. That's actually the number to the top of the drip rail. We consulted about it. I fixed those doors up, got those ready. You know, this side over here, I started stripping material off so it can be welded. It's 14 gauge steel, so it's a good heavy steel. This is what I'm using to strip a lot of the paint in the areas I don't have to be real careful. I keep it on a slow speed. I only keep it on speed like 2. It's a polisher, a buffer I'm using as a grinder. I keep it on like speed 2. That way I'm not heating the metal up, I'm not taking too much material away, and I'm not wearing down that pad or compromising the glue on the pad where I have that thing fly off and hit me in the face. I've seen it happen. It was funny in only so far as the reaction on the guy's face, but it wasn't a funny deal at all. He got hurt. So these are the frames. They're all cut out and they fit, they match. He's got them marked for each hole. These drip rails are too short by almost a foot, so I'll go ahead and cut them and section them in. I'll break a piece of steel, which I got plenty of steel right there. That's one of the cutouts. That's where we're at. I'm gonna come in a little later as I get a little further along. But kind of a groovy deal. Alright, let's take a look at what we're doing. We got the frames cleaned up. We got everything flushed out. You got little blurbles here where we have laps. So we happy medium, okay? That's how that's gonna work out. It's 14 gauge. You got plenty of meat to be happy medium. I got them both in. The owner, hell of a skills. He's got good skills because he's fit. I only had to trim over here just a little bit on this one. I trimmed a little bit back. You can see where I ran my little 3-inch air cutoff wheel. So I went around every 4 to 6 inches and spot welded it. Pulled the metal in, pushed it out, tapped it around, made sure everything was flush. Prior to that, I got them fitted, clamped into place, and then measured the sills, the bottom of the opening, and made sure they were the same. Not a 16th off, not an 1/8 inch off, the fucking same. Once we hang the doors on this, if those are crooked off of that hard rail on the bottom, it's really going to show up. So take the time, measure twice, that way you're not cutting the shit out and re-welding it again. Because by that point you may as well buy new frames and new doors because you ruined everything you started with. I may do a video set alone, separate, but again, I don't really endorse products, but if I find something that works better than any fucking thing else, these 5-inch 36 grit discs are spendy. They're like $5 a whack. Oh, alright, Let's see here. And it's a Cubitron. When I use my air grinder, my high-speed air sander, I'll put the discs back to back. So I've got abrasive on both sides. Don't get your knuckle in it, that'll fuck up your world. The reasons being, like on that, I can just poke it in there, poke it in the cavity and draw it out and run around the interior of the cavity, cleaning that paint up as well. And any burrs that actually they'll only use a jigsaw to cut that out. So, all things fair in love and war, I use both sides of those. I actually use those to give me door gaps on cars, because it gives me a good rough in of a door gap that's uniform left and right. So yeah, I may do a video with that 3M Cubitron. I try not to endorse shit, but if I can find something that works better than anything else, I'll let you guys check it out. They were spendy. They were $5 a disc. What I put that disc through, the leading disc, the face disc through, would have wrecked anything else that I've been buying. Everything else that I've found, in comparison's just junk. Guys up at the supply house said, give it a whirl, see if you like it. I'm like, $5 a disc, that's fucking harsh. I bought 5 of them. There you go. I'll probably buy 5 more next month. Usually I'll use up a disc just cleaning paint off one of those frames. So that's where it's at. That's where we're at. That's what's going on. Alright. So I'm going to show you this van, what we got going on. I'm going to have to pull the doors back off, but I'll show you what's up. We got them numbered because they do fit specifically into holes. There we go. My buddy Daryl coming in helping out. Some metal finish came out amazing. You can see up there, fairly seamless. I got that drip rail. That's the top of the drip rail right there. I actually dinged it with the cutting wheels I went because I kept rubbing this line off by accident. It's chalk line is all it is. This is where I'm at the end of the day. Yesterday, I didn't actually get to do a damn thing today. I had other crap going on around the shop. I didn't get any in the shop work done. But metal finish is all done on this one. Door's been installed. Just a peek at fitment issues. I do have, however, it's covered up by the door. I do have, however, some pinholes that I got to take care of. It looked like I didn't get deep enough on the weld, and Daryl took the top of that weld off. And then this was the joint from the factory. It was mostly seam seal. When I ground it off on the backside where there was a little bit of rust, it's a peekaboo hole. And once we get the doors off, I'm going to inspect everything, go inside and shut the doors and look. This is where we started. Being 14 gauge, I can actually place 3 or 4 spot welds. So I can weld about 3/4 of an inch at a time without causing warping or damage. There's the drip edge for this side. I got to cut the end cap off because I'm going to have to fabricate another 8 to 10 inches. Because it's going to fit from box end to box end, and this came off of a shorter vehicle. Yep, it's a van. Turns out we're going to go ahead and take this through body work and sealer. The whole thing came along alright. The owner cut that shim, which gave me the distance, and I had a line snapped across the top. The math took care of itself on that one, folks. Ah, the wonders of maths. Side's all done. We figured out where all the doors go. Now with this, I do have, come on, ding, pinholes. There's probably a dozen of them around this door frame. Cover your windows. Don't hit it with grinding. Those flakes off of grinding will stick to that glass and fuck it up. Let me see here. 14 gauge steel construction, but you still have to be mindful of overheating the panel and warping it. I'll kind of show you what's going on. Door frames installed. We've had all the doors on. We've taken them back off. I'm doing the drip rail. We've checked our clearances. We're good there. It's a big heat sink. It's hard to warp, but the minute you get all cocksure and full of yourself, you get overzealous and you end up warping the steel. So let me see, down there you can see it's continuously stitch welded. I'm working off of a baker's tray platform, like a sheetrocker's platform, so I can only reach basically half of it at a time, but I can actually put 4 stitches, stack them up, and then I move to the next section, and they're about 6 inches apart, 5 inches apart. Yeah, about 5 inches apart from point to point, and that keeps me spacing it out. Because every time you close this gap, well, this one closes more, and it works. Okay, it works. But you want to be wary. You're not, as with body work or anything else, you don't want to overwork the panel. You overwork the panel, you warp this steel here, and you're going to play hell straightening it back out later. And yes, by definition, this is still custom work. That's what it's about. This is what we're doing here. What have I got? Nothing really. It's pretty much that simple. Cover the windows so I don't adhere sparks to those and fuck up the windows while we're grinding and welding. I've disconnected the electrical system on the van so we don't screw up the brain box. Don't want that. I'll have to go inside and do some spot welding on the window frame, on the door frames themselves, just to attach it to the inner structure that's already there. But we're moving right along. This much of the end. A little blurble there. A little bit of body work gonna have to happen to this. But by and by, we're straight. We're straight. It all come out good. That's 14 gauge. That is 14 gauge steel. I don't have a brake that's gonna bend that, even that 8-inch section. So what I did is I viced it down to my table. Well, put it in the vise between two. I started vicing it to my table and trying to pound it over. It didn't work well. It just didn't work well. So what I wound up doing is taking 2 pieces of angle iron that are longer than, and I sandwiched that in my vise. Heated up that joint, folded it over and pounded it flat, and I worked it that way. And that's what's given me the results that I have achieved thus far. Alrighty. So I'm going to finish welding up the passenger side drip rail, have it ready to metal finish. I'm going to jump over, weld up the driver's side drip rail, fabricate that part, get the spark spittings part of this done. Say that 5 times fast. Wow, made it to the end of the video. Thanks for checking in. Come back on the next one. See what the hell we're going to do next time. Subscribe, comment. Find us on over on the old Facebook, Smith Welding Restoration LLC on Facebook. Numbers at the beginning. Have any questions? Call.